Hi, welcome to this talk about De-Stijl, facilitating graphics design with interactive 2D color palette recommendation. I am Xinyu, a PhD student at the University of Waterloo, and this work is with Ziqi Zhou, Zhang, Neshati, Anjul Kumar, Tyagi, Rossi, Shunan, Du, and Jian. From the ads on the social media to packaging design on food products at the grocery store, graphic design is everywhere in our life. It's all about creating eye-catching visuals to convey a message or idea. In colors are especially important. They play a huge role in creating a cohesive and visually pleasing design. However, creating a visually aesthetic color palette is always challenging, particularly for novice designers who do not have much color theory knowledge. Furthermore, based on the communicative goals, the color palette is often required to align with a specific theme, for example, romantic feelings or branding impressions, making it even more difficult to deliver a conceptually meaningful palette. Fortunately, there are some tools available, such as Adobe Color, that can assist the designers for this and allowing folk play with different color harmonic rules. But it cannot suggest to you color proportions to use and how to place them in your design. Thus, novices will still need to experiment with many trials and errors when manually apply the palette to the design elements. Additionally, it also cannot really understand your specific needs, such as emotional themes. The worst case is that you even need to recolor an image for your design to match the theme you want. This adds another layer of complexity. Thus, we propose De-Stijl. It makes creating theme-aware color palette extremely easy and automatically applies the palette to all elements in your design, including images. You can rest easy knowing that how everything will work together. Much better, it makes exploring different color design variations much more convenient. Let's walk through a typical usage scenario with De-Stijl. Imagine that Stella is a marketer and wants to design an email promotional graphic for the Valentine's Day sale. She imports design elements into the canvas, then modifies the positions to a nice layout. A 2D design overview palette is then generated, summarizing the design with 9 colors. She feels it might be too many colors to gauge the visual effect of the design. Thus, she moves the color quantity slider from more to normal. To create a romantic feeling to align with Valentine's Day, she specifies 3 theme colors: pink, blue, and orange. Then she clicks the recommendation button. Momentarily, an auto-recolored design pumped out. Along with it, a set of recommended palettes for each element are listed on the control panel. Now, Stella wants to make some refinement. She clicks the image object and changes the gift region to orange. Then she refines colors of some decorations. She further locks the elements she feels satisfied. She clicks the recommendation button again to see if there is any improvement. Everything works well. I love this design. Stella is glad and exports the design. To explore different color choices for design, she unlocks all elements and resets theme colors to red and yellow. She also lowers the theme effect level to welcome richer colors. Within a second, she receives a new version with lovely pink accent. Now, let's dive into details. How does De-Stijl work? First, we will define the structure of a graphic design. We build a conceptual model to decompose the graphic design into 4 layers: text, decoration, image, and background. However, to acknowledge, there is no publicly released graphics dataset in such an appropriate format. Hence, we curate our own dataset of modeling graphics based on the proposed semantic layered structure. We collected 706 design templates in the PSD format from various creativity support platforms covering the theme of technology, social media, fashion, food, pets, and business. With a prepared dataset, we built this color recommendation pipeline for De-Stijl. First, the De-Stijl will extract the 2D palette from the image, which combine different visual and psychological factors for colors. Specifically, different from the traditional 1D linear format, we use a 2D format to incorporate colors, proportions, and proximity to the overall context. The design of this 2D palette was iteratively refined by working with design experts. Our initial design presents fine-grained details of the input image. It removes textures but keeps other color visual properties as much as possible. However, it is easy to overwhelm users with many colors and difficult to generalize across graphics with different objects. Thus, we refined it by going from the shape-oriented design to the grid-like design. This version performs a high-level abstraction which deprives of shapes and edges. The downside of this version is the color proportions are sacrificed to some extent. Hence, our fine design comes. Transforming the grid-like version to the grouped color blocks in different sizes and reflecting proportions and proximity properly. Further, De-Stijl employs a theme-aware and spatial-sensitive color recommendation model to recommend colors for each design element. We built a model architecture based on conditional gain model and adopt a specific design to enforce design conditions to be effectively incorporated into the colorization process. Finally, the De-Stijl system also supports automatic imagery colorization according to the recommended palette to further reduce users' manual effort. We conducted a user study with 14 participants to evaluate the De-Stijl if it is able to effectively support multiple creativity factors and the customization needs from novice graphic designers. It is hard to find a baseline for the comparative study. Thus, we ended up using a combination of commercial tools, including Figma, Coolers, and Pixlr. These tools were close to public available options for accomplishing the task, but required users to switch between them for different features. We adapted within Subject design for the study, and we designed 3 tasks for participants. After that, we have a semi-structured interview with each participant to further understand their experience. Here are some examples generated by participants using the De-Stijl system, compared with baseline system. We recruited 4 expert designers to read the results from participants. For all 3 tasks, the outcomes of the De-Stijl had significantly better ratings than those of the baseline. We utilized Creativity Support Index to measure the degree of creativity support for De-Stijl and the baseline in the study. The results show that the overall SIGCHI score of De-Stijl is significantly higher than the baseline. By analyzing each dimensions, we find that De-Stijl can effectively support the design explorations, enhance the user's expressiveness, and increase their satisfaction of their outcomes. In summary, this work presents 3 main contributions. First, we introduce a novel context-aware 2D palette representation that incorporates color proportion and proximity into the palette. Second, we propose a theme-aware and a spatial-sensitive color recommendation pipeline that suggests the color palettes based on user-specified theme colors and the layouts of different elements. And finally, we present De-Stijl, an interactive and intelligent color authoring tool that assists users in coloring image-centric graphic designs. Welcome to our paper. Check more details.